Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you again, and we're going to look today at some more verses from Mark's Gospel. Today's a funny day because there isn't actually a passage specifically for Saturday in the Gospel narratives. There's Good Friday and lots of passages around that, and then the Easter Sunday and lots of passages around that. But there aren't any specific passages for Easter Saturday. It's kind of a silent period when Jesus was in the tomb. Having said that, because we had such a long section yesterday, we're going to pick up on two sections we didn't look at yesterday, which relate to Jesus' death. So we're going to read from Mark 15, starting to read at verse 33. The death of Jesus. At noon, darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon. And at 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, "Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of those standing near heard this, they said, "Listen, he's calling Elijah." Someone ran, filled a sponge with wine vinegar, put it on a staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to take him down," they said. With a loud cry, Jesus breathed his last. The curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. And when the centurion who stood there in front of Jesus saw how he died, he said, "Surely this man was the Son of God." Some women were watching from a distance. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James the younger, and of Joseph, and Salome. In Galilee, these women had followed him and cared for his needs. Many other women who'd come up with him to Jerusalem were also there. The burial of Jesus. It was preparation day, that is, the day before the Sabbath. So as evening approached, Joseph of Arimathea, a prominent member of the council, who was himself waiting for the kingdom of God, went boldly to Pilate and asked for Jesus' body. Pilate was surprised to hear that he was already dead. Summoning the centurion, he asked him if Jesus had already died. When he learned from the centurion that it was so, he gave the body to Joseph. So Joseph bought some linen cloth, took down the body, wrapped it in the linen, and placed it in a tomb cut out of rock. Then he rolled a stone against the entrance of the tomb. Mary Magdalene and Mary the mother of Joseph saw where he was laid. So a little bit shorter, and again, very familiar passages, but the thing I want to just draw attention to in the section headed "The Death of Jesus" is when at 3 in the afternoon he cries, "Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" If you cross-reference that, you'll find that that is a reference from Psalm 22. And if you read Psalm 22, Psalm 22 is an astonishingly accurate of everything that happened to Jesus on the cross. We haven't got time to read it this morning, but I'd encourage you to take some time, maybe later today, just to sit down and meditate and read that psalm. And it expresses so much the pain and anguish that Jesus experienced on the cross. But of course, that pain wasn't just the physical pain. It involved bearing the sin of all the world, and also the separation the experience from God. We're experiencing social distancing and self-isolating at the moment, but the separation that Jesus experienced at that point, when he had all of our sin upon him and all of God's wrath against our sin focused on him, is beyond our comprehension. And then in verse 39, the centurion who stood there in front of Jesus saw how he died, or when he saw how he died, he said, "Surely this man was the Son of God." So despite all the mockery that we looked at yesterday, at the moment of death, there were people like the centurion who would have previously just considered Jesus to be like any other criminal and realized that this was something different. At his death, he recognized who Jesus was. And then sort of the end of that section, and also during the burial of Jesus, we see these women and see Joseph, a prominent member of the council, who are the only ones who seem to stay there and be around when Jesus died. And they were the ones who, it says about the women, they provided for him during his time in Galilee. It sounds like they probably fed him and provided money that was needed to support the ministry. And then they're there at his death, and then after his death, they're the ones who go and lay Jesus in the tomb and give him a decent burial. I imagine that had they not done that, he would have been just thrown onto a tip like other criminals who had no one to take responsibility for them and care for them. So I thought rather than me pray a prayer this morning, I would just finish this little section by sharing with you a song which might be new to some of you, but it's called Man of Sorrows, and it's just a meditation on Jesus on the cross.
my Jesus spilled. Now the curse of sin has no hold on me. Whom the Son